ice-caked windows. A little hole this big to drive up here in.
Okay,
Did I?
January 15th, 2015. Planning board meeting is now open. First thing on our agenda is our building commissioner, which I think this is the first time that Bob has been in front of us. So welcome to planning board and welcome to the town of Raynham as our building commissioner.
Thank you, gentlemen, members of the board. My name is Bob Iafredi, and I do work here as a building commissioner. I'm having a good time doing it. Thank you very much for having me. The reason why I'm here tonight is a couple of things. Just quick discussions. I don't think we're going to spend too much time, but there's two zoning issues that I've dealt with a couple times since I've been here. One has been temporary signs. The bylaw, I guess, has been moved around or changed a couple of different times, and it's kind of vague as to what's allowed, what's not allowed. If I may approach the board, I got a couple of pictures for you. My proposal. I think I made them copies. What I've seen recently, what I've asked probably a dozen business owners to actually remove, and they've all been very receptive, and they actually did it for me, is these flag signs, which are very popular now. Our current bylaw basically doesn't allow them because we're only allowed up to 6 square feet. So especially when you have a situation where you're not right on the road and the business owner is trying to bring attention to his storefront, these things are very popular and very useful. So I got a little pushback from a few of them. So what I'd like to do in the future is maybe have some kind of a dialogue, maybe bring this to some kind of a public hearing where we can talk more about it. But I'd like you to take a look at some of the language I put together, which allows for more square footage. And the current bylaw says temporary signs have to be 20 feet off the property line. We have several situations where the parking lot is actually front property line. So if 20 feet off the front property line puts these temporary signs right in the middle of the parking lot. So there's several unique situations. I'd like to try to address them by changing the wording in this bylaw.
Thank you. My first, I guess, comment as I look at it, if we have a business, let's just take, what's that plaza across from Mastria's?
Oh, is that Raynham Marketplace?
Raynham Marketplace. We must have 12, 15 businesses in there. Is there a way to also add in here, if we're going to allow those, that it's more per site, how many can be placed in the front at any given time? Because if we have 15 businesses and they all want to put a flag out there, we have nothing to stop that.
I understand. We actually, excuse me, there's some language now that allows you several temporary signs. If you have 250 feet of frontage or more, you do have the situations where you're correct, you have 10, 15, maybe more businesses in one site, which may only have 500 or 600 feet of frontage. Then what do you do? Then you're only allowed 4 or 5 temporary signs. So we'll have to formulate some kind of language to handle those. But I thought this was a good start. Not to make it too long and too lengthy and too wordy, but it does allow for more square footage, because these flag signs, which I've showed you in those pictures, they're bigger than 6 square feet. And very popular. So when you go down 44 and you cross from Raynham into Taunton, you immediately see all kinds of signs like that, because they're welcome in that community. Not to say they're not welcome here, but they're used more on that side of the town line.
That would be my only concern, if there's something that we can do, because I know the sign bylaw, the last commissioner, Dennis, he's tried going up, we've been all over the place with this, trying to find a right line, and I think this just came up on our last, didn't this go to the last town meeting?
Yeah, there was a version of this that Dennis had worked on, but that was, between when it was submitted and town meeting is when Bob started. And when he took a look at it, he said, well, I'd like to back off on this and kind of work on something a little bit more comprehensive, so that's why we withdrew it. And so we could formulate something that would be more
Okay.
all-encompassing.
Well, I personally don't have a problem, as long as we can kind of put something in there, if it's determined with frontage, if they have 2,000 feet and there's 15 businesses. I don't know how you would do that, but I'm sure you can.
Well, some of this language, Mr. Chairman, that I propose is from Dennis's proposal.
Original. Okay. Questions, Russ? Burke?
Signs are one of the toughest jobs you have.
It's a challenge. We're trying to be, try to be business friendly. And when the businesses reached out, several businesses reached out to ask me what they could do for temporary signs, because they're very popular. People, like I said, people need them so that they could be noticed. It's a challenge out there, and, I told them I'd try to find something to help them out where they, can't do it at all now, and maybe we can find middle ground.
Temporary signs now are allowed for 30 days, or you say?
Yeah, we do have some situations where smaller signs are allowed. They have to be 20 feet off the property line. They're only allowed to be 6 square feet. So, like I said, some of the new signage that's out on the market now, they can't meet the criteria that we have in place in the bylaw now.
I just wonder about the 180 days. That seems like more than temporary.
That's a proposal. We can talk about it. So, like I said, I'm looking to have your board support this so we can move forward and have some kind of a public hearing and then have more dialogue.
When did the 20 feet off the property line come in? I mean, half the time the property line's 8 to 10 feet off the street, so you get a sign that's 30 feet off the street.
Well, I think that's what Dennis was proposing, that he was looking to go to the last town meeting. And like John said, we postponed it until Bob came on.
There used to be 12 feet off the property line for permanent signs, which I think it still is, but
Yeah, I think Dennis was looking to incorporate, he wasn't looking to change the setback. I think he was looking to incorporate banners into that, temporary banners where someone has a
Banners
special
for
event or
opening, grand openings and things like
I think
that.
he was trying to incorporate that into our bylaw.
All right, so I guess if we all support this to be advertised, so we can put it on as a public hearing?
Sure. I think the most important thing is not impacting lines of sight for vehicular or pedestrian traffic. And I think you need to be more particular, or you're going to be arguing with people all the time.
I mean, the gas station up on 138 by 495 used to have that problem because you'd have the wind coming, out of the south, so they'd have all their flags aiming towards the road, and you'd go to pull out, and you couldn't see because all the flags were there. They had, 20 flags running right down the street.
We had one business, and I asked them to take them down, but they probably had 8 or 10 large flags, that, signs similar to what I showed you in the picture. And they were very distracting. So we can limit them to 1 or 2 per property, maybe 1 per business location, and we'll be able to give the business owners what they want and still try to, keep some level of safety.
Yeah, I'm sure we can come up with
Yeah, and naturally.
a common ground on that. I mean, we strive to support our businesses, that's for sure. I mean, we're very fortunate to have the businesses we do have in town, and we're always encouraging more. And the last thing we need to do is show them that we're not looking to continue that once we get them in town. So,
And we hold a public hearing anyway, and going into town meeting on zoning bylaw amendment. So naturally, if town meeting's in May, we hold a public hearing sometime in April on this anyway, so.
okay. So that's, you have the board support on moving forward with it. And if there's, I guess maybe what to do is, once you do, maybe work with John, once you do get the final, what you would like to see, maybe you can send it off before we do come to the next meeting, so we can have kind of a consensus ahead of time.
I would imagine it'd be pretty similar to what you have in front of you today, but we can make some adjustments.
Okay. Very good. Anything else?
Yeah, I would like briefly talk about another issue that's in the zoning bylaw. Excuse me. That has to do with used car sales. and I would imagine there's been a lot of talk about this over the course of the years. Another challenge I've had since I've been here, the short amount of time I've been here, is the bylaw only allows for used car sales in an industrial zone. We have one industrial zone, that's the northern part of Route 138, and it's the western side from basically the hockey rink all the way to the eastern line. So by right, the only place where you could locate a used car dealership is that small strip of property on the west-hand side of 138. It's not allowed in a business zone. Obviously, we have a lot of new car dealerships that also sell used cars on Route 44 heading towards the Middleborough, Taunton line. So I'm not trying to rewrite the book here, but I'd like to know why that is, if there's a possibility we can have more of a dialogue on that also. Again, I've had several complaints of people who are selling used cars in a business zone. It makes perfect sense to, have that kind of an operation in a business zone, but unfortunately, the bylaw limits them to only be able to do that in a.
Now, we do have some that are in,
Excuse me, those are existing non-conforming situations.
to the grandfather in.
Another example, Route 138, right on the Taunton line, there's a car dealership that's there that was rezoned to the Triple D zone. Triple D does not allow for used car sales, but there's a used car dealership there. So like a little bit of housekeeping, and also maybe, with an oversight or special permit situation through the zoning board or the planning board to maybe go ahead and allow these in a business zone.
Now, when somebody gets a used car license, and I would think that there's a limit of how many cars that would fit on their lot, who monitors that? The selectmen monitor it?
The licensing board.
So they're the licensing board, but who monitors it? The selectmen don't drive around and look at these
Well,
spots.
that would be the zoning enforcement officer would imagine.
If the paperwork comes to, excuse me, my department, that's something we could look at, but I haven't seen it. I'm not sure how it's been handled in the past. However, whether it comes down to us or not, if, 95% of the applicants are going to be in a business zone, and they're going to, zoning-wise, they're going to be told that they can't do it. So I just think that, maybe someone will come forward and tell me why it's that way, but I think, if there's no specific answer, I think that's something we should open dialogue also, and maybe try to do it so we have some controls and allow it in a business zone.
Well, Burke, you've been here the longest. Do you remember any reason?
It's always been that way. And I didn't even know, because, like you say, there's a couple of them on 44 right across from Metro Ford. And then there's the one on 138. I didn't realize they weren't allowed in a business district.
Yeah, just the way it's written, you're allowed to have new car dealership, and, typically when you have a new car dealership, they do both. They sell used cars and new cars, so.
Well, I'm not filing a complaint, but that dealership across from Metro, I don't think they could put a popsicle stick on their lot, and it doesn't provide for anybody that wants to look at a vehicle. So all of their parking is all along the street. And I went down by there a few Saturdays ago. It looks like they were having an auction. There was cars lined up on 44. We're very adamant about staying off of 44. Unloading vehicles on 44, parking on 44 for the dealerships. When the big dealerships come in, we make sure that they do everything possible
Sure.
to provide enough parking and off-street parking. And if we are going to allow them, which I don't see why they're not allowed in business zone, period. I think there's enough control that can be done with them. But I think they have to be monitored. I think, just like that one over there. He has a license. If he's grandfathered in, I would love to, if we're going to move forward with this, then let's make sure the ones that we currently have are working.
Well, the problem is with the ones that are currently there, they're kind of at an unfair advantage because they can't expand their business. They're legal non-conforming. And you have a new license, a new car dealership license, you can make your used car lot as big as you want and sell as many as you want, where the smaller guys are stuck with what they have.
And most of them are on that piece of property that they're coming, so they would have to buy something
Yeah,
to
that's
expand.
what
So, as long as as long as what we have there is working, and what's out there, and maybe just take a, you know,
I think, Mr. Chairman, a good way to monitor this, if it did get to the point where the bylaw would allow them in a business zone, is if it went through the special permit process, the approvals would be conditioned. You can condition it as to how many vehicles you could be on site. You can condition it as to, you know, everyone visiting the site has to have, you know, enough area to pull off or queuing. So those are the things that would help even the existing ones. I'm not saying let's go after the existing ones, because they're legally non-conforming. So, but like Chris said, if they wanted to expand, then you could ask them to abide by some conditions that we could formulate through the special permit process.
yes, Joe.
But I do agree with what Dan was saying, because we are having issues with the truck store up on Broadway. We're trying to deal with a situation where they have a license to deal used trucks, and they've crammed so many trucks onto there, you can't even see the residential dwelling on the property. So that is a valid point where we have to make sure whatever we put into place has some controls on it, because we have learned from experience of some of these businesses that are operating that this can be an issue as far as.
When they renew their license, I would think that the selectmen would have numbers on it, though. Even though they grandfathered in, I would think that they would still have a volume amount of what they can carry on that piece of property.
That's what I thought.
In that case, Dan, we looked that up, because Bob and I have been trying to get them to kind of reduce their numbers. They didn't put a limit on the number of vehicles, unfortunately, so that's another learning.
Well, I think maybe that's something that we bring into the whole package, and like you said, new people coming in, we would have more control over it, so we don't have that, and it's part of planning.
And again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm sure the bylaw has been looked at many, many, many times.
Believe it, it hasn't. It really hasn't. 14 years been sitting here. I don't remember once that somebody complained that they couldn't put a used car lot in.
Yeah, I just bring these up because
So-
these are the ones I've dealt with,
Yeah.
in my short
No,
history
thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
And again, I would continue working on that. Don't shy away from it.
That's my intention. Thanks.
And we will wait for an update.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have a continued public hearing, Bassett Knoll.
This public hearing is for a special permit.
It's two-part. Special permit and for the overall subdivision.
But generally, you have to get the special permit before you can approve an overall subdivision.
Correct.
Okay, so with one person short, you need 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm on the fence on whether I should even be involved in this with my sister, possibly be involved in land on the other side.
All right. Well, I'm going to open it up, and then we'll go from there. All right? Okay. So state your name for the record.
My name's Nick Harris, representing the parties owning the Bassett Knoll Estates.
All right.
I'd like to ask for continuance due to the fact that we have not received any information from the consulting engineer, nor have we received any information from the DPW from the town. They were given their packages on the 22nd of December, and to this date, we haven't received any response, so I'm asking for a continuance to the next hearing.
Okay. And when is our next hearing? February 5th. The other issue that came up was your agreement with the tax collector is
Yeah, I've got to go see her.
is up, so unless that's taken care of by the next time, February 5th,
I'll go see her.
then we're gonna have to have that
Resolved.
resolved, or else you'll have to withdraw or
Okay.
whatever you decide to do. All right, so we'll continue this until 6:10, March, I believe.
March 19th, I believe.
Okay, so Bassett Knoll, public hearing is continued until 6:10 on February 5th.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we have a public hearing next, and I'm going to read the public meeting notice. In accordance with provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A and Article 13 of Raynham zoning bylaws, the Raynham Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, January 15, 2015, at 6:20 at Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, on application for site plan approval submitted by Daniel G. DeRosa, B&D Construction Company, Inc., East Taunton, Mass., for construction of a 7,500 square foot warehouse storage building with associated off-street parking and loading areas on 2.62 acres located on the northwesterly corner of Britton Street and Broadway, Route 138. Raynham assesses map 4, lots 11 and 12. Copy of application and plan are available for viewing at Town Clerk's office and Planning Board office, 558 South Main Street, during usual scheduled business hours. Any person wishing to be heard or interested in this submittal should appear at the time and place designated. Raynham Planning Board, Daniel J. Andrade, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Chris. All right. Step up, state your name for the record.
See if this is going to stay in place.
Don't touch that, Wayne. We're very upset with you.
Oh, boy. For the record, my name's Ken Motter, I'm a senior project manager with Field Engineering. I'm here with the owner, Dan DeRosa. What we've presented here tonight is the second part of the relocation of the operation from Taunton. It involves the construction of a 443 square foot warehouse building that's going to be located just to the northeast of the existing office building that's under construction right now. It's going to be fully serviced by both town water, water and sewer, electric, all separate services from the office building. The office building will stand alone. We've designed a stormwater management system, which is primarily a piped collection system into a recharge system that consists of 3 recharge fields, one within the parking area associated with the office, one at the rear of the building, and one at the main parking field there. The system is designed in accordance with the DEP stormwater management policy. So there'll be no discharge, even though there is an overflow pipe here. There will be no discharge for the lesser storm events, the 2-year, the 25-year. There will be a slight outflow in the 100-year, which is necessitated the need for the overflow. But in reading the comments from the board's consulting engineer, we've taken another look at that, and we feel we can move the overflow so to be outside of the 30-foot required separation distance to the wetland in that area.
Now, have you been through conservation yet?
Conservation is next week.
Okay.
So again, we've provided off-street parking for approximately 37 spaces. By the bylaw count, we are required to do 50, so we're asking for a waiver on that, on the basis of the number of employees and the number of service vehicles that Mr. DeRosa currently has. As we previously stated, there's 24 employees that are going to be located at this location and 10 service vehicles. So we have more than enough, at 37 spaces, we have more than enough to satisfy the needs of the facility. And he's pretty much maintained the employee count at 24 over the last 4 years. So there's no plans for any expansion of the business or anything like that.
Well, what I would like to do, because I generally have a rule, 12 items or less, or else we send you packing. And you have, I think, 20 or 30 items
Understood.
from our town engineer. So I think what we're going to do is, you do have a list of waivers
Yes.
that you're looking to talk about.
Yes.
I'd like to go over the waivers,
Good. Yeah.
because you're gonna go back and you're gonna work with our town engineer, and you're gonna cut this list down to things that you really can't live with, and things that you really need. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. We've looked at it, and in general, we don't take any exception to, some of the other comments that he had. But, again, I think both from my side of the table and from his side of the table, we're kind of looking for some direction.
And again, remember, he is our hired engineer consultant.
Understood.
He's not the board.
Mhm.
So if there's something you feel strong about
Mhm.
that you really can't live with, or it's
Mhm.
unnecessary,
Yeah,
and that's gonna be another waiver, then come back in front of us.
yes.
And we will decide
Mhm.
if it's,
Okay.
if it's acceptable.
Mhm.
But for us to go through 30 items, it's just a
No,
lot of
that's
a lot of
that's
housekeeping
understood, yeah.
items, that's,
Try to keep it productive.
we're not here
Yeah.
for that. We don't, you can figure out if you're meeting your setbacks from your wetlands, and
Mhm.
you have to go to conservation, and if you're
Right.
going to conservation, then
Right.
you're gonna be answering to them next.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want, let's go over the waivers, and we can kind of come up with a consensus. We're not gonna vote on waivers tonight, but,
Give them an idea of where we're headed.
right, and that way there, when you come back, hopefully, you'll have, a knowledge of what we're willing to waive,
Okay.
and then hopefully you'll have time to go through all these lists with
Mhm.
town engineer, so, why don't you start? Now, generally what we do is, you read your waiver request, and you have waiver A, B, C.
Can I ask a question before?
Yep.
So I have a better idea, because the very first one is concerned with traffic.
D, E, and F, so there's, that's what you have that you're looking for waivers, so. Burke's got a first question?
Everything in gray is going to be paved.
Correct. Yes.
How much of, there's an area of crushed stone now, right?
Yes.
How big is that compared to what you're going to be paving? And where is it?
Basically, I mean, we made every attempt to work in the new pavement area over that crushed stone area.
Okay?
So there's some areas that actually, it's actually a washback, because we have this area here that's within a 25-foot, that is currently that crushed stone parking area. That's gonna be restored, a portion of that's gonna be restored to its natural condition. And then we have a little bit, on the entrance here where we're pushing the aisle out, so it's basically, it's this area here that we're gonna be recreating versus this area here that we're gonna be taking away from the field area. So we've tried to make every attempt to fit the required parking within that footprint area.
In other words, Kenny, virtually all the parking area in front of the warehouse building, between the warehouse building and 138, and all the parking area to the left of the building, the existing house,
Yes,
that all pretty much exists right now.
yes. This is the,
So all you're gonna do is pave it. It's
Yes.
already there.
yeah, well, like I said, we're not paving this section.
Yeah,
This is
no, I
the section that we're
understand.
gonna restore,
So-
and then we're taking a little bit here. So basically, we've got this sliver here, and this sliver here. This is restored, and this is what's taken,
And
so
part of
it's the
that parking
same,
area today actually exists into where the building is gonna
it's the same
propose to
square
be.
footage, Burke, to answer your
Yes,
question,
it
yes.
does.
And vehicles are going to be able to drive around the back of the warehouse?
Correct.
Okay. I didn't think, of most people are here for this? Can you people see what we're, no. Can we do something so they can follow the plan better?
Yeah, everybody must be here for this, because it's the last thing we have on tonight, so.
Well, feel free to move up. I can
All those
I
that
can
are
turn the plan.
interested.
Is there a better place that we could put that with a,
Could you maybe move that up a little bit this way
turn it,
and turn it a little?
move it up? Move that podium back a little.
For the benefit of people in the audience, this is the area, this is the crushed stone area, that's there now, that's in front of the existing retaining wall, the existing stone wall that's there. That's basically where the new parking is gonna be. It's gonna be a kind of a reshaping of that area, but it's gonna essentially be the same square footage as what's out there right now.
Anything else?
So,
Okay,
oh, yes.
state your name for the record and your
John
address.
Mario Renzi, Center Glass Company.
Did you get that, Marvin?
That, the gray area, I can understand. The orange area, that's your square footage of your building?
That's the building, correct.
Was it gonna be kitty-cornered into the backwoods there, is that how it is?
Yeah, it's gonna be facing the
Facing
intersection
Broadway.
here, right, at the
Oh,
end
Britain
of
Street,
the,
facing
where the
Britain Street, right?
stairs are on the stone wall.
Yes, yes.
That's, the corner of the building's just behind that, just behind where those stairs are.
Oh, I see. Oh,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be kind of cozied into the corner there, so. it's
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
see, well, that's good. And you'll have room to go in the back of it,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, I understand now.
Again, we tried to preserve, we don't want to really do any activity within that front field area, obviously.
Yeah, I see
We're trying to
that, yeah.
maintain that vista view coming from, coming up from 138.
I have a question.
Yes.
Richard Hill on Britain Circle, are you having an exit out to 138 as well? Are you going to come on
No,
Britain Street?
no,
to get out?
the exit is going to be where the existing driveway curb cut is right now. That's going to serve.
Onto Britain, exit
Onto
onto
Britain,
Britain Street and
yes.
then out.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And Ken, excuse me again, that other orange areas, that's the existing office?
This is the office building, yes,
I
that's
see.
under construction right now.
So the driveway is, the parking area, everything that you see there is the entrances, nothing is actually changing.
That looks nice, actually.
Right. But Dia Oil had it that way too. They
Right,
had
that's what I'm
that
saying, it's not
exit.
changing from what,
Exactly.
from what they
And
had.
We never had a problem.
The stone wall that's there is all staying, looks like they're going around all that, so
Mhm.
they're fitting that building in the best location of that piece of property without affecting.
It does, it looks
Exactly.
great.
frontage
They're
on
right
Broadway.
across the street, and it's perfect, it's beautiful, and we're very
If you
pleased.
say another word, I'm gonna have to have you state your name for the record.
You better get it.
I get in trouble again?
Okay, so, any other questions before we,
Yeah, I have another question.
Yep.
What type of vehicle traffic? You said trucks, what size trucks, like, mentioned the vehicles?
Well, maybe standard, the service vehicles are like four-wheel drive trucks. There
Pickup
are-
trucks.
You have like two box trucks?
Some channel wags trucks.
yeah,
Answer
state,
that question.
state your name for the
Dan
record.
DeRosa, owner of B&D Construction. They're all medium, light duty, medium duty box trucks.
So,
My,
yeah.
my biggest truck is an F-550 for weight.
So are they out like first thing in the morning?
Yeah,
afternoon,
it's
in and out all
twice a
day?
day. We leave in the morning around 7:30, and we come back at 3:34, and then they'll be parked for the night. But there'll be pickup trucks, project managers, myself, for pickup trucks, and a couple of cars, a secretary, bookkeeper.
Where are you
Britain
located?
Circle.
On Britain Circle? Okay.
So I crossed 138, crossed it thousands of times.
Yeah.
And it's getting tougher.
Yeah.
That's a very busy intersection right there. There's a lot of school buses, there's a lot of traffic in and out of there. Recently with the Walmart and stuff, 138 is backing up all the way to 495 at night. Right? Never used to be that way. You could get off 195 and get down the
Right.
street.
Traffic has definitely increased. Well, we did think of that prior to purchasing the property, but we feel like that we leave and come back at a very unique time of the day for us, for traffic. We haven't had a problem getting in and out now, just doing the construction.
Now,
piece.
I've been traveling 138 quite a bit too, and I'm not sure I agree with you about, because Walmart has put in the traffic. Since they've been doing the bridge construction, I've noticed.
Even before the bridge, but there's with the red light, I think it's the addition of the red light.
Because I've been stuck in that coming the other way, and I say, do I go on 104, because I live on 104, and do I get stuck in that 104, 24 traffic, everybody comes off 24 and goes down 104, or do I want to go the other way and get stuck in 138 traffic? And with the bridge, all the construction on that bridge, it's been backed up past Hess, and then that traffic is what's backing up on the other side. So, again, hopefully, once the bridge construction is over and the set of lights gets put onto Center Street, and that intersection gets improved, because right now we have a police officer standing there, taking his life into his hands, flagging people by, and so I'm pretty confident that once the lights get in Center Street and that overpass gets taken care of, I'm hoping that we don't have the pile up that's there. Yes, John?
I could just ask, so just to verify, Dan, there's gonna be no tractor-trailer traffic coming in and out of this site that you anticipate?
No, we don't have any of those. On occasion, we'll get a delivery, but it's a very small one. In our busy time, about once a week, we'll have a, not a large one, I don't know what a large one is, about 50-foot, but a small, sometimes it comes on a straight job, sometimes a small tractor trailer.
90% of the vehicles that are gonna be housed here are a lot less, a lot shorter, a lot smaller than what was currently there.
Yeah,
Oil trucks versus pickup trucks and box trucks.
Yeah,
are
we have
two
nothing
different-
like
two different animals.
six-wheelers. We have just all light and medium-duty vehicles. We don't have any heavy-duty.
Yes, Burke.
When you have a large delivery of lumber, drywall, whatever, it's delivered to the site usually.
Job
You
site,
don't
yeah, I
have
was
it-
just
you
gonna
don't
say
have
that, most of our
a-
stuff
yeah,
goes to job site, we really don't wanna handle it twice.
Right.
On occasion, when we get backed up on our windows, we'll get a delivery there for windows till we're ready to actually put them in a home. But most everything we get, if we do our jobs right, goes to the job site, so we don't handle it twice.
Does Raynham residents get a discount when you move in there?
We can't wait to come to Raynham. Raynham's been very good to us.
Just throwing it
Yeah,
out there. I know
yeah.
it's-
No, Raynham will be
Some
happy
people
to
at
have
home
us.
will be mad at me that I said that, but,
No, we're excited for Raynham, and, we want to work with the neighbors, and we've proven that. We're fussy at what we do, we're fussy with our equipment, we're fussy with our job sites, fussy with the place that we work out of. It's
well,
gonna
the
be
house
beau-
that you're doing is
It's
looking
going to
really
be
nice.
beautiful when we're done.
So, any other questions? You had your hand up?
You know, in the strangest way, with Dan being there, with his, he's got a chained area where people can't get in there. Before he was there, during the middle of the night, you always hear these trailer tractors coming in, backing in there, and so in a way, it's gonna eliminate all this. At nighttime, I don't know where they come from, they're just coming through town, they're just back in there, maybe delivering gas across the street, but it was noisier than, you're never gonna have this problem with control of Danny
Sleeping before
being
their
there.
delivery in the morning.
Probably.
Whatever,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Okay.
May I say something?
You have to
Okay.
state your name for the
Yes,
record.
I'm Barbara Maria Renzi, I'm John's wife. Okay, we live on Broadway, so we go out onto Broadway quite often, as well as Britton Street, and we've noticed, yes, the traffic is heavy, but there were factors. Walmart was part of it, Market Basket was part of it, 495 was part of it, and the mess up at Center Street. But overall, since he's been here, there's been no problem, and he's had umpteen deliveries for parts and whatnot for the construction, and they've all been respectful. We're right across the street, we've never been blocked, there's never been a problem on Britton Street. So I just want to let you know that.
Very good.
Do we get a discount now, Dan?
All right, the discounts are off the table. So, let's get on with this. Let's go through the waivers, so we can kind of give you a census on how the board feels.
First and foremost is.
I'm going to read the waivers for you.
Yeah, we're seeking a waiver from section 4.2.
I'm going to read the waivers for you.
Okay.
Section 4.22, a traffic impact study prepared by a registered professional engineer.
I'm okay with that.
B, Section 5.1.2, site landscaping, providing a 3-foot wide landscape strip along the foundation walls for all non-residential buildings. Now, I have a question with that one. You don't have any place or space to put planters in the front, the side, or,
Well, we have a landscape
Oh, there you
plan
go.
that you can take a peek at, which I thought the guy did a really, really nice job. You can maybe just tell
Mhm.
he added a lot of new greeneries and trees.
What we have is we have the loading door, the loading doors in front of the building here.
not a loading dock, they're doors.
No, they're just,
I'll get that.
we have the loading doors on.
How many doors in the front of the building?
What's that?
How many doors in the front of the building?
We got three? There's three.
You have bollards in front of
We
both
have,
sides of the
yeah,
door?
we do have the protective bollards on either side of the door.
Any issues?
That bylaw doesn't apply a lot of the times, because you have situations where you have parking right up to your building,
Mhm.
doors and access. I think it's more intended on building sides and that type of thing.
Protected for car jumping over the curbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going into it.
I think the idea is just to try to soften, soften the.
What's the height of the building?
The facade of the building.
20 there.
20 feet? What color is it?
Do we have the,
Bright red like the
It's
trucks.
gonna match the house. We're gonna try and get it to match the house, the
I don't
gray,
s-
gray and black.
I
you
really haven't
tell?
seen the house. That's,
It's gonna be like a split block in the front and,
oh, so
with-
you
with-
are having block on the
Yeah.
bottom half.
Yeah, we're gonna do a designer block on the bottom and a red stripe that represents our company in the middle, flat block, and then panels and a black roof, red doors,
Doing the block is more than doing landscaping.
yeah.
Okay, C, section 5.1.3, 25-foot undisturbed natural buffer shall be maintained from the wetland resource area. You're gonna have to go to conservation?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we will look at at that area there, going back to the,
Is that pre-existing though?
Well, the
Yeah.
building's not pre-existing.
No, but I mean, that cleared area was.
this area here is the pre-existing area of the parking lot that was within the 25-foot. Where we're proposing, because it's right at the natural low point of the lot there, and we need the room here to provide the maneuvering room to get in and out of the loading docks. We might have an opportunity here to pull this pavement back a little bit and provide like a retaining wall and a guardrail there to minimize, further minimize the impact in that area.
Put it this way, we're not
eliminate
gonna
the-
comment on that right now because you're gonna go to conservation.
Right, right.
And I think by the time you come back to us, that's gonna be resolved.
Okay.
All right, so if it's not, we will address it at that time. Yes.
Couple things I should have asked.
Mhm.
How wide is your parking lot going to be? In other words, how big a truck could, number one, turn around in the parking lot, and how big a truck can get around the back of the building to come out
We-
without turning around?
We laid this out basically on the dimensions of a box truck, which is a 24 wheelbase vehicle, to be able to maneuver around this way here, and then back into the doors here. And the 20-foot box vehicle can get around the building and the office area.
Okay. All right.
D, section 5.3.2.2, 30-foot buffer zone, existing vegetation shall be retained between all points. Again, you're gonna be working with conservation, and, so I think that's gonna answer when you come back.
We think we can comply with that after revisiting and after looking at that comment. so.
E, section 5.4, curbing shall be vertical granite at the access drive. And niche engineering does not support the waiver requested, recommended vertical granite. He's recommending that it stays at vertical granite. Now, this isn't a plaza or a shopping mall or something like that. It's a private business where you're not gonna be having town vehicles going in there to plow. You're gonna be maintaining yourself. I personally don't have, to spend the money for vertical granite in a small parking lot like this, that it's only gonna be used for their use. It's not public use, it's not,
How, exactly where and how long is the access drive radii?
We have, if we look at this one here, we are gonna do the granite on this side here.
Yeah, the
on this-
entrances
On
are
this
gonna have
radius,
the
and that's
granite.
about a 40-foot radius there. And we're gonna continue that along the edge of Britton Street and match it into to the existing granite curbing that's, right at the intersection of Britton Street and the highway. So we'll have a continuous granite edging all the way down the highway and, up to this point here. On this radius here, there's the existing stone wall that actually goes, slightly goes over the property line over there, and at that point, it's only maybe 5 feet off of the edge of the existing pavement that's on Britton Street. So that's not even enough room to put a transition and then a granite, a granite piece and everything in there. Oh, it really doesn't, and there's no edging that's on Britton Street, so it really doesn't make any sense to put anything there.
In the other part, the other section, you have the stone wall.
Right.
Stone wall there,
Yeah.
plus there's that 5 foot or 6 foot, whatever it is.
Right.
7 foot stone wall that runs parallel with the house.
Mhm.
So what's left is all out back along the sides. I don't have a problem with keeping the granite up front.
Yeah, we should clarify that
Keep
we'll waive it on one side, but not the other.
So you wave it on
that
this-
corner,
this
just
side
that piece of the
here.
corner.
Right, there's a little piece there.
And then you'll have granite, and then you can do a Cape Cod berm when they do the pavement.
Throughout. We
Throughout.
have Cape Cod berm around the outside perimeter of the
Right.
parking field.
So,
But we'd be matching into the granite that's there too, so it'll.
coming off of
Yeah.
Exactly.
Britton
So
Street
we're not
and
going like from
138.
granite to asphalt. We'll
Right.
just stay with the granite.
Chris, everybody, you all set with that? And then the last one, F, section 5.6.2, curbing shall be placed at the edge of all paved surfaces. Curbing shall not be bituminous concrete, and we just said that we'll waive it for the internal portions of it. And that's it for waivers.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
There was one comment that had to do with landscaping on here, and I think we need a clarification on the interpretation of that particular section of the bylaw. If you go to the landscaping
Okay.
comments on the niche letter, on item number 24, where he recites section 5.1.5.
1 tree per 10 parking spaces.
Right.
It would be foolish to, it would be foolish to put a tree in the middle of that parking spot, again,
I
for,
hate to do that.
Yeah, well, what we have done on the landscaping plan is we can certainly meet the tree requirement in terms of, we have provided 2 islands here, so we are meeting the tree requirement here based on the number of spaces that we have in this parking field. We have another one that's gonna be within the restored area there. And similarly, on this parking lot here, we have 2 trees on the edges of the parking lot.
and you're adding trees all along that residential side, the buffer there?
This, all these trees, these are all added trees here.
I mean, in general, that we haven't been requiring, messing up the parking lot by sticking trees in the middle of it. And with the in exchange, you have a landscape plan that's more suited to the property owners around it.
Large parking lots we have been kind of sticking to them and letting them move them around a little bit,
Yeah.
but something like this, it's gonna be more of a nuisance than anything else. Yes,
What's the distance for the paved area on the office parking lot side?
The clear distance here? 34, 40 feet, yeah.
40-foot paved,
Yeah.
okay. You're putting in a row of trees, and of course you have, I presume it's residential as soon as you go past?
On this side here, yes.
Okay. And you need, what, a 50-foot buffer?
No, it's a 50-foot, I think
It's
it
the
might be a
rear yard.
25-foot buffer, but it's a 50-foot building setback.
Yeah.
But that's exists a non-conforming, but it's over 50 feet. So, if you have a new, in other words, is that residential right behind it?
This is yeah, because the zoning line from the rezoning, it basically follows this property line here. And then,
So you can't have a building within 50 feet of your property line, a new building?
correct. And we're well outside of that.
yeah, I'll get to you. Now, you can't have a building within 50 feet, isn't there a no-touch, 25 foot or something that's?
There's a no-touch,
That
but
has
it
to-
gives us we have the flexibility to have fencing and berms and trees and that type of thing.
Okay. What is the distance that you have for shrubs and landscaping, grass, whatever you have there, from the parking lot to the property line? Well, that's 40.
That's about 40,
it's
yeah.
about
I mean,
40.
it might be slightly less
That's
in here,
pretty
because
close
there's an
to-
angle here.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Kuzo, lot 410, which is on that line that we're speaking of.
Yep.
And truthfully, Mr. DeRosa and I have spoken about this. We've kind of agreed, I'm a private person. A 4-foot fence of the vinyl something substantial nature for the length of the parking lot to turn into a 6-foot fence to run the rest of the property line. And as far as trees and what, I mean, I'm not, I will be the most directly affected by it, and now how it is, there's nothing, there's just the traffic coming up, noises from 138, and with that fence there, I mean, I think that would just be the absolute best divide, and I can't rightly see working a tree in for however much, but for my purposes, a 4-foot fence for the length of the parking lot into a 6-foot fence for the rest of the property would shield me fabulously, and that would just...
Now, you're going to go, you said you spoke to Mr. DeRosa. Mr. DeRosa, is that something that you are?
Yeah, Janet and I spoke very early on, and I asked her what her needs would be before we even came, I think before I purchased the building, actually. And she said, well, there was a lot of wisteria scrub stuff. I actually don't know what exactly it is, wisteria, but it chokes out trees and was killing them. And she said, I would be ecstatic if you guys got rid of that and gave me a fence. So the first order of business when I closed on the house was I got rid of the wisteria to try to save some of the trees that weren't already choked out. And I agreed that she and I would go down to a fence company and pick out something suitable for her and me and put it up, just as she said, 4 foot to where the parking area is.
Could you show 4 foot from where to where and 6 foot from where to where?
Yeah. The 4 foot is going to go from the street to here, and then we're going to jump up to 6 foot here and go back.
So it's not going to be on the property line, it's going to be on the parking lot line?
The stockade fence,
Yes.
that'll be on the property line, on my side of the property line. Yep.
But it'll be just outside the property line or just outside the parking lot?
Just outside the property line.
You want to reflect that on the plan then?
I actually think it's on the landscape plan. Yeah, it is. Yeah. We have that represents the fence right there, that the 4 footer, I believe. He doesn't have it going all the way back, but I told Janet I'd go all the way back to the back corner to really give her, because of this building here, the 4 foot doesn't protect her much from
Well, just
that.
reflect it on one of the sheets so it'll be picked up in an as-built and we'll know to look for it.
When we come back for the next time.
The other thing too, now I know you're meeting the landscape requirement for trees. What do you have for trees that are going to be in front of that fence?
All these trees right here.
What are they?
I don't know what kind of trees they were. I can't say it anyways, can you know what it was? He worked with the landscape guy.
You got a key in. Looks like red maples and.
I think I asked him for all red maples, something like that. Yeah.
That's what he's got through there.
Yeah.
Maple.
Because it just looks, the way it's drawn there, it looks like they're pretty close together. And I would suggest if you're going to run a fence all the way down, you don't have to add any more shrubs, but I would just space them out.
Yeah.
So-
I rushed him to do this for us this evening so we could give people a gist
All
of
right.
what we're trying to do.
Well, when you-
But
when-
we can.
just-
Well, the way that it's shown, they're 15, 20 feet inside.
Yeah.
Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Well, I guess,
Yeah, I think that the canopy is what
Yeah.
is getting us there. But I want to give Janet as much, well, first of all, we designed a home that fits right into that area. That's
right,
not-
don't put red maples there, 'cause the red maples are going to grow, arms are going to be going over the fence. If she's not living there, somebody else comes in, they're going to cut them off.
Do you have a
Put
red-
something that's going to go, relatively straight up.
Oh,
Arborvitae,
I just wonder about
something.
something that's
No leaves.
evergreen, because
That's what
in
he's
the
got
winter, and I understand she won't be out and she won't have her windows open in the winter, but noise factor.
Actually, they are evergreens.
That would make sense.
18 to 50, 18
to 20
I don't-
feet.
I-
You gotta stop talking.
Yeah, so what we're just gonna.
Red maples along a
Well,
fence like that.
I did
Sit
ask
down.
for red maples. I happen to like those.
We're starting to sweat, getting us all nervous.
But,
Okay,
the
so-
fence will go all the way back to the property line, because.
Is that all? You have questions? Oh, you're all set? All right. Yes, sir.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
State your name for the record.
My name is Bob Iafredi, I'm a building inspector. The site plan that was distributed showed a property line in the middle. There were two parcels. Is that property line going to be removed?
Yes, it has been.
Has been. Yep. That got
So
recorded,
it's one big parcel
It's
now?
one big parcel
So that would be
now,
a
yeah.
problem with permitting. The only other thing, I just want you to remember that you're in a business zone. You're not allowed to have a used car lot there.
Thank you very much. And you'd have to come back, you refile if you plan on it.
Yeah.
And even though it's not officially part of the waivers, I'd like to just bring up one more thing that Nietzsche mentioned about a possible waiver. If you turn to the zoning bylaws section of the comment letter, item number 3, says the applicant is proposing to reduce parking under the requirements of section 6.5. Oh, I'm sorry, no, item number 5, my apologies. Section 6.8.5C states that no off-street parking space or accessory parking space shall be permitted within front yard areas. It appears that parking spaces are within the front yard areas for both lots 11 and 12. The applicant should revise or request a waiver. So even though it's not a listed waiver, that's something that
He'll have to request a waiver.
Uh,
And then the other thing too, I didn't read about parking reduction waiver.
they did mention it in the letter.
That was in the project narrative.
Yeah, but that's not what we just went over.
Okay, I'll
So
add
you're
that.
gonna have to
I'll add
update
that
that
to
and-
the waiver
And
letter.
I don't think we have a problem reducing parking and. It is.
For the parking.
So you'll have to file for that for next time.
How do we file for it?
Just file a special permit.
Contact Maureen, John.
Bring your checkbook, we'll take it from there.
We've done that. So, is it go to the ZBA or does it go to the planning?
No,
it
here.
goes to
Oh,
us.
okay.
It goes through us through site
Okay.
plan approval.
It's just, you want to get moving on it because it's going to hold you up on these other approvals.
It keeps it from going 2 steps, DPA, and it lets us be a special permit. Granting authority, that's all it is, instead of the ZBA.
So you check with Maureen tomorrow.
The other question I had was,
Yep.
this water resource protection overlay,
Yeah, that is mentioned in the letter.
is there anything to that? Well, it's saying that for having a warehouse in a zone 2, you have to go through the ZBA to get a
Oh, yeah,
special
he's aware of
permit.
that, and
Yeah.
the
Okay.
plans do not indicate that the project is located within the WRPOD. Each engineer recommends the applicant indicate that the site is within that on the plans, and he's already come to Maureen to get that going with the ZBA.
We expect to be before the ZBA first week of February. Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, does anybody else have any questions about this building? No? Members of the board? Well, I guess we will continue. Put you on for February 5th. We can do same time, 6:20. I have 6:10. Let's do 6:15.
Maureen, what is the best they can do for their special permit if they get it in the next couple days?
If I get them tomorrow, I can make it for the 5th.
Yeah, it'll be in.
Because we have 3 weeks. It's a
Now,
5-week month, so.
Remember, we're only open half day
We'll get it.
on Friday, so you might want to sleep downstairs or something. Very good. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen. Maureen, thank you.
Town planner updates. Now, is everybody up and leaving? No? People still here?
138 overlay district update.
That's not on for tonight.
That's what I'm for tonight?
he's got it.
Nope.
Well, it is on your town planner update.
Yeah, to remind the board that we're gonna be discussing this soon, and we're gonna start discussing it on our next meeting on February 5th.
There you go.
We will be putting it in the paper when we,
No, I guess I saw it somewhere.
Oh, you saw it on the agenda.
It was on the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
it was
it's on
the agenda
general
online.
business, yeah, town planner update. It's an update. It's not, it's to update us to let us know when we're going to be holding the
Just
So are you
something
saying the
to
February
note.
5th hearing, are you saying the February 5th meeting is when that will be discussed?
Yes, that's when we begin discussing it.
February 5th.
And we're gonna be advertising it, so, because this is very important, we had a lot of people here, we would love to have the room full again. So, we will be advertising it again. All right? John?
Yes, recently received an environmental notification form from SDEP for the relocation of the Patriot Recycling piles to the rear of the property, so that comment period is ongoing. I got a letter from Conservation earlier this week, I believe Tuesday, that they're going to be submitting. I also have a couple comments that the selectmen would like me to forward on behalf of the town, so we'll be doing that.
I've been seeing more and more in the newspaper about that property down there, and comments, I guess, that they made about moving to Brockton.
That's the rumors that they might move the simulcast to Brockton.
So, he said he's been, at least what I read in the paper, said that they've been, a lot of people have been coming to them with different
Proposals.
One person can away.
No, that's Mr. Kuchich from ORG. So yeah, it seems, the rumors seem to be heating up as far as the redevelopment of that property. To be honest, in the best interest of the town, I think everyone would love to see something better happen with that property than what it's currently being used for.
Well, that's true. Thank you for bringing that up. You have to be here. He doesn't. Can I ask you what you are here for?
Yes, relative to the Walmart bonding. Understand there was a letter submitted from your peer review engineer. We're looking to get a partial release of the security if possible.
Oh, we have someone from sewer and building here.
And that was, we had a department head meeting today, we talked about this, and you're gonna have to see what your deadlines are to get your town, your plan together for the easements and the land. So that can all get voted on at the May town meeting.
But what he's looking for is a reduction. Yes.
And I believe, coming out of the last time this was discussed, Chris had a punch list of items relative to the sewer station, and the board discussed it, and I don't believe Chris was at that meeting, but you asked Nietzsche to come back with a cost estimate
Right.
as far as the remaining work on the pump station, what needs to be done. I think they came with an estimate of approximately $100,000. Add that to what they estimated other remaining work would cost.
So has any of that previous stuff been addressed, or?
Yes, I mean, the original, when the bond was first set at $300,000, a lot of that work has since happened. There was then a punch list.
No, just from the last meeting, when I was reading Chris's information, and when I had Nick go out there to do this estimate.
I don't know exactly what on there has been done from the punch list. Chris will probably know better than me on that.
So, all right, well, do you want to spend your client's money I'll send the engineer back out there to see what you have done?
No, I think when you sent the engineer out there was to see what was done from the original 300, like that punch list, essentially what it would cost to complete that punch list. So that's why Mitch went out there, they took a look at that, and that's the number that John was referring to.
Right, because I believe the board wanted a price estimate as far as what the remaining actions relative to the.
And the majority of it was sewer.
Right, and that's what the board asked.
Exactly,
yeah.
but Chris is saying that hasn't been touched.
Correct.
Okay, so,
I mean,
So we're not-
and change their address, and just get some stuff back in the mail.
so we're not giving any reduction from what's on here then?
Well, I believe the board wanted an estimate on what the remaining work would cost to consider a partial release of the
All
funds.
right, then I'm misunderstanding you. How much are we holding?
300,000.
I apologize.
And therefore, I believe with Nietzsche's two estimates, yeah, they would recommend,
I thought we did that at the last meeting, that this was what we were holding.
No.
I apologize.
so I think Nietzsche's comfortable.
Okay.
If the board wanted to release up to half of the amount that's holding, I think that's what the two cost estimates add up to, approximately.
And that's what's on this
Well, we,
sewer and the,
the overall site with the landscape.
there was a few curbings that needed to be fixed.
So this is site.
No, that's everything.
That's got, this includes sewer issues?
No, the 58,000?
Yeah.
No, that's
Okay.
separate from sewer.
So where is sewer?
He sent that through an email that I can show you right now. I made.
We had-
Okay, as long as we have a number,
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, we had that at the, we had that, Chris had given us, that $150,000, Chris, another, is enough to cover what's on here, and you're,
Yeah, what I didn't see his email, but whatever it is
Well,
probably
but
fine.
if we have the 60 here.
Yeah.
And you've got 90 for sewer, you think holding the 150 is enough?
That should be
Okay.
more than enough, because I think this, a lot of the sewer stuff was getting keys, key to like, getting some of the switches, one switch replaced.
I mean, I'd like to lighten up the line so people could get in there, and on 138 that are having problems, and there's like little punch list items, and I'm not getting any responses. And there's a lady that's driving me crazy that has got a failed septic system's pumping like crazy. And I don't know, there's
Well,
still
hopefully, you know, I guess.
strings in the lines. and I don't know if
Hopefully,
there's
we're not
plugs
gonna
in the
release
lines.
anything after the 150 until it's done. So hopefully that's, you can follow up and let's finish.
I'll follow up with the contract, and I'll set up a Chris myself.
And I
Yeah.
apologize for making this confused from the beginning, because I was totally confused.
Well, when I'm dealing with Lopes and with Carlson, and Carlson, I'm not getting much of a response, and a lot of times it's not really Lopes' responsibility, because he hasn't been paid or anything like that, but he ends up being the one manning up every time, and,
So so somebody has to come forward
you know,
and
and
just
he's not the GC.
step up, right, step up to the plate, and let's, town meeting's gonna be here before you know it, if, you know, what Chris said, so let's get it over with and be done. Hopefully your business is doing well. I drive by, I think, best thing that happened for all grocery stores in Raynham was that the Market Basket closed for temporary, because Shaw's Stop and Shop, I think it just gave everybody a new oomph on their businesses, and so, all good things come in time, so let's get it done. Time is up. All right, motion made to release,
Any amount over $150,000?
Motion.
any amount over $150,000. That was seconded?
Second, yeah.
Discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good, all right?
Thank you.
Drive slow out there, it's slippery.
Thank you.
All right, John,
Yes.
go back to your,
So you heard about Route 138's been taken care of, Patriot Recycling, so I'm gonna get a comment letter in on behalf of the Board of Selectmen by the deadline on the 27th. The grant that was received is through the South Coast Rail Program to work on an informational brochure to promote economic development. It's taken the state and Serpent a while to get a contract together. Got an email last week from Sandy at Serpent saying they finally got that resolved, and they'll be reaching out to us probably in the next week or so to begin work on that informational brochure. So that's it. That's.
and who are they working with? Are you part of that, or?
Yeah, no, we'll be working with Serpent staff. They get
Okay.
they get the contract from the state, and you work with the regional planning agency, similar to what we did with the the land use study for Route 138, similar type of thing.
Okay.
They're gonna be our technical staff, and the selectmen will be involved to,
Now, just add one thing to that. Do you think the economic committee, don't we have a business committee?
Yes.
Should you, when that gets like 90% done, should you go with them?
Yes.
Show them, let them see it, and maybe they might have some input?
Oh, that's the plan, definitely. This isn't gonna be done in a vacuum.
Okay.
Definitely, I'll be looking for input from the selectmen and that committee, definitely
right.
John Melvin's group.
Right.
Absolutely.
What is this pamphlet going to be done?
It's going to be information on the town. We're using Middleborough as a guide. It's going to provide information on the town that would be relevant to potential businesses looking to locate in the area. So information on what our tax rates are, in terms of what our zoning is, in terms of.
It's encouraging businesses and giving almost like a little flyer that we're gonna be able
Letting us
to.
know letting them know who our largest current employers are, information on our school systems and certain census data in terms of educational attainment and the type of workforce that's in the area, things like that. And I've already talked to the Taunton Area Chamber of Commerce when we applied for the grant. They said that they would be more than willing to distribute this when it's printed. Hutch Motorsports, we're expecting an application for site plan review on that project any time now, hopefully within the next couple of weeks before the end of January.
Where are they going again?
If you're facing the Raynham Athletic Club, that parcel just to the right. It's going to be about approximately a 3,500 square foot building where they're going to specialize in Husqvarna. They have a contract with Husqvarna to sell and also repair and sell parts and accessories as well.
So they're gonna be filing for site plan review.
Yes.
Just be careful. I think we're gonna, Husqvarna, those two-stroke, and I know a lot of them now are four-stroke, those things are loud. I used to race dirt bikes a long time ago, and they're loud. We used to drive around Betancourt Honda whenever I would go and look for a new one, or even have mine repaired. We'd be in their backyard, revving the thing up and peeling out, making sure, things are fixed before we load it on our trailer. So you have a lot of, residents in the back there. If it's just showing up for parts, that's one thing, but if it's actually going to be fixing and selling, they have to test drive.
Right.
So where are they going to test drive these things?
Been a long time since I was involved with dirt bikes. They're still loud.
Again, I said they
Oh,
were.
so your hearing's not as good as it used to be, so no, they're not anymore, Greg.
Not as loud.
I can't imagine how they could reduce the sound and not reduce power.
I think we
Because
should
it was
bring
a-
a Hitachi
it wa-
dealer in here with the Combat Wombat, those things.
It was an open,
We
basically,
can have a demonstration out.
they're loud because they're open mufflers.
John Costa, friend of mine, used to leave my house on 138 at Broadway and First Street, and I could hear him all the way till he got home on Oak Street. Then I'd hear him start the bike, no, he'll be here in 10 minutes. But is that, they're not doing chainsaws and anything like that?
I don't believe so, no.
Because Vermeer's a
They're an
Husqvarna dealer.
existing business.
Right now, they are,
For
he
chainsaws
runs
and other
a
things.
smaller version out of the Raynham Marketplace. He's been there for about 15 years.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but this is the first time I actually think he's new to having a contract with an actual brand like Husqvarna. I don't think he's had that before. He's been a small mom and pop operation.
Well, just so he's not, just so, it's, right, it's gonna be a small operation, just so he's not being bounced back and forth. Let's make sure that when he's in the process, that he understands, it's it's not that deep of a piece of property. If you're planning on selling these things, the boards are gonna be asking him, how they're gonna drive them, how they're gonna test drive them.
Okay.
The last thing, yeah, we can put conditions on it, but
There's only so much you can do.
Does the town or state have limits on decibel ratings and?
I would think. I mean, yes, of course we do. We have them on our board, because we had Johnson & Johnson, that we had the issues with the generator.
Do we have that in the general
We had-
bylaws?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll have to look at that.
I didn't know if they were, I remember that. I didn't know if they were just being good neighbors.
No,
Or
they had
were-
a meet, because we even had
Okay.
the.
Canto went out there with his meter.
Yeah, we had a report.
He had a light meter, but did he have a?
I thought he
I'm
had-
not
I thought he had a sound meter.
I'm not sure if he had a sound meter or not, but that is in our bylaw, because that's
Okay.
how we made them put up that insulated building.
Okay, so I'll.
But that, although we might have it for noise emanating from a building,
Right.
don't necessarily have it for a motor vehicle.
Right.
That's a difficult thing. I mean, I remember when I was in graduate school, one of our professors had us attend a planning board meeting in Johnson City, Tennessee, and they were talking about a noise ordinance, and boy, that's a tough situation as far as okay, do you measure it from the property line, do you measure from this?
Well, it's easy for us to measure and discuss a generator
Right.
that we were able to enclose versus you taking a dirt bike.
And live music venues,
And
same.
there you
same
go.
thing. Doors
Like
open,
you
doors
said,
closed.
with
blah, blah,
something
blah.
that's, not gonna be, first of all, at regular interval, it's gonna be up and down, and it's gonna be mobile. That opens up a whole,
So, yeah, so
We'll
you,
have lots of questions when we get there.
I'll warn them.
Is there a building on the parcel now?
There's
It's a
a
house.
vacant, single-family house right now. So I will let him know what the board's feelings were now when he comes in.
Shell gas.
Yeah, lastly, it looks like that is gonna be coming back. They withdrew after they went to the ZBA last time, but now, it looks like they've accepted the variances from the ZBA, and they're gonna be coming forward with site plan review hopefully in the next couple months, so I know the town would love to see something happen with that
That's
property.
South Street West and.
Yeah, South Street
around
West
the
and
corner there.
44, yeah. That's it.
Invoices, we have these two invoices. King Estates, we need to, Maureen, was it 300 or 500?
500 maybe?
That's gonna be left in the account after,
Oh, no, there's less than 300 in the account now.
oh, there's less than 300?
Yes.
Okay,
We need
so,
at least 5, I would think.
so we need to make a motion to ask additional funds for completing the review process on King Estates.
Any estimate on what we would need?
Well, Maureen said at least 5.
They're supposed to maintain a $1,000 balance.
There you go.
for the regs.
Make a motion that we ask them for $1,000 to bring their account back up.
Bring it up to 1,000.
Yep.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Minutes, Brooke?
Make a motion, we waive the reading and approve the minutes of November 20th, 2014, December 4, 2014, and December 18, 2014.
Second for discussion, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Correspondence?
You want to say anything about the hotel public hearing comments?
Yeah, I've attended the first two,
Oh, this is up
yeah,
Bridgewater?
this is the Bridgewater Hotel near the 40B project that's under construction. I've submitted a couple sets of comments, and I've CC'd them to Representative D'Amelio in an attempt to get some kind of mitigation for Elm Street East and Old North Main Street, that area. I don't know how successful we're gonna be, because they read my last letter into the record, and pretty much as soon as the planning board chair read into the record, he pretty much said, I don't think we're gonna make them provide Raynham any mitigation. And they started referencing Chestnut Farm and made a vague reference to ask me, well, what mitigation did the town do under Chestnut Farms? And I mentioned the turning lanes and the lights down on Mill Street and Route 104, and they said, oh, nothing for Bridgewater though. So that's politics at its best.
What did you expect?
Well,
You can't help that, can't hurt to ask.
that's the thing.
Right.
And you know what, there's also, the engineer for the hotel, the traffic engineer is claiming that the hotel's not gonna generate significant additional traffic, and I asked them, then why are you building it? You're not gonna have a successful business if you're not generating traffic, but it also sets us up for, there is more development coming as part of this overall site plan, a retail component, so even though we may strike out this time, there's gonna be more development coming, and we just keep requesting, and that's the best we can do.
That at one point was gonna be like a Paramount Drive, was
Oh,
what
really?
the county envisioned. And originally, it was gonna actually be the Taunton Mall, the Gallery Mall. And then Bridgewater resisted, instead of taking all the tax dollars, and Taunton jumped on it and fast-tracked it and got it in. And then, it's not the Brockton counties, but they wanted to do a Paramount Drive, and started off with that, and big insurance where the building was there, and then the big entrance, they wanted something similar.
And it never,
And they met resistance on that. So what could have been a nice, beautiful, revenue-generating industrial park,
it's not kind of a hodgepodge.
which is forced to 40
I wouldn't
Bs.
I wouldn't say it's hodgepodge.
No. I mean, he
It's
held
been
on a
millions of
long time.
dollars. The building if he does buildings, if he does business buildings like he currently has, that's a beautiful building. He owns the property across the street. You see they cleared, when we were kids, we used to pull off to the side of the road, get a hot dog and an ice cream, and the stand on the,
That was a long time ago.
well, with the swing sets down there.
Yeah.
That was our treat,
Yeah.
right on the nip. And, well, apparently he must own all that, because he went and cleared it all, and it's beautiful, from his building. So if he does more buildings like that, and I think they're a classy outfit, they have a lot of money.
No, they are,
They're not gonna,
they've held on to that and put a bunch of money into it. They ran a sewer line all the way down 104, it sat with a dry line, and there was powers that be at DEP and a few people that were kind of connected that tied him up. And he's held on a long time, and, didn't sell it out and make the whole thing a 40B.
Right, but I think if they, originally what Chris said they envisioned, instead, there's a huge apartment complex.
yeah, and that's not his fault, because
Oh,
the
no, it's
Bridgewater
not.
stopped him from doing it.
Right.
On another note, I received a packet a couple meetings ago, maybe the last meeting. It was addressed to the chairman of the planning board. It was for 40B that they're talking about doing on 104. I think you brought that, didn't you bring that up?
Oh, not 104, you mean North Main Street?
That's 104.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom, sorry, yes, you're right.
North Main, where Mastry is building. Mastry used to be, it's the,
It's visiting nurses now.
no, they're not there. It's
It's
visiting
empty.
nurses.
It's
and-
been empty over 2 years now, so it's not grandfathered.
Yeah,
Plus it's
so-
grandfathered the business.
He, I looked at, the plans, and what it's gonna be is 8 houses. The reason why I'm bringing it up, being a 40B, it's not gonna come in front of us, but I took I was gonna get a tire fixed, and I took a wrong turn in Bridgewater. If you let the selectmen know, and if the selectmen or anybody's watching, you wanna see what this is gonna look like, go all the way down to, past Home Depot,
Yeah, take a left on
take a
Elm
left,
Street.
and I should have pulled into that first industrial park to have my tire, on my
Yeah.
tractor fixed, but I was on talking to something, and I kept driving. Right past there, you're gonna drive into identical.
Hmm.
I was like, it was meant to happen for me to miss that and just keep driving, because
Where is it?
On Elm Street,
Bridgewater, right?
Bridgewater. You turn left, go past Emma's,
Yeah.
and.
At that
go
set of
going
lights.
Towards the
Oh, take a
center
left
and
at
take
the
a
light.
Take a
left.
left.
down.
Okay,
and it's
right down there.
quarter mile down,
Yeah.
and you drive in there, and it's like, holy,
Really?
theirs is twice as big, because it's got 2 roads, but they connect, and it,
Maybe I'll go take some.
You go farther down, there's another one on the right. Because there's a
I-
couple of them that sprang up on that road. now.
I couldn't, I mean, that's not my type of living, but it was clean, it was full, every house was sold.
Well, Dan, the development at the end of Fortune Parkway, that's kind of a similar thing that with those small.
No,
lots.
absolutely not,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely not.
Well, that's not in the middle of an industrial park. That's a
Yeah,
little different.
that over there, and this, you take a ride by this, and you'll, because that over there that's, I won't say anything. But go take a look at this, because if they do it, and they do it right, and I think you mentioned it, if, obviously, if people do things right, and it's not all about, the dollar, then, so I think if you take a ride by there, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And I even took my wife down there and said, look, this is what's gonna be down the street from us, and
Yeah, you say 8 houses is what they're looking for?
Yes.
So like 2 of them would be affordable?
4,000 square foot lots.
That doesn't do a whole lot towards
No,
our
it doesn't.
10%.
Does absolutely
Do
nothing.
anything for us, really. It doesn't even like register a blip on the
We just
radar
send
for
those
us.
invoices.
So, just, I would mention that to Randy, the selectman, so the next time,
What I'd like to do is I'd like to go see some pictures.
because I think if they drive by, I think it's,
Yeah.
it'll be information for them anyway.
Same developer?
I don't know. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same develop, it's identical, the plans, the layout, the small,
I don't know if we, yeah.
I don't know if
it's
it's-
the same development, because it's this guy who owns this property.
yeah, but maybe the person that wants to buy it off of him
Right.
is that
And I don't
same
think we know
developer.
that yet.
I don't know. paperwork didn't have anybody's name on it. So, with that said, anything else? Oh.
John Texera, 122 First Street. I have some plans here for a used car lot on Route 104, adjacent to your I'm just kidding. The reason I'm here is to pick your brains. I'm also on the Board of Directors of the Council on Aging. And we've been talking for a few months now about possibly expanding the senior center. We have a number of functions. Many of them we have to limit the number of people because we don't have a very big function room there. Max is out at about 40. Okay, we hold some functions. We actually have to separate them and do women 1 month and then men the next month because we can't make it open to everyone. Anyway, we were talking about that, and I think Liz talked to you a bit about this. She was cleaning out some area and so forth. She came upon a set of plans drawn in 2004. Now I have the plans here that are just for the building. There's another set that she gave to Bob. It has the whole site layout, the whole 9 yards. So we started looking back at our board minutes for 2004, and we saw where Rich McCarthy was applying for a grant to do that expansion. Made the building, I think it added 2,000 square feet, if I remember correctly. Well, the portion of your memory I want to pick is, does anybody know why that was dropped, or what happened? Did he not get the grant, or what happened?
I have a copy of those plans in my office.
I think he
Yeah.
was told there was no need for it. They felt they didn't need to go forward.
Is that right? Well, I mean, somebody must have allocated money for these. I mean, these are formal, if I may.
Well, there must be a name, there must be a name on
Yeah,
it.
there's an engineering company on here.
I would-
There was even a place for you guys to sign off on it.
I would,
There is a signed plan.
What he did.
There is a signed plan?
What he did was an
I think there is.
RFP for the design, and he had these additions, and I don't know why.
He was
That was for
doing,
future expansion, I think, just to permit it that way, but I don't know if he had the money, and maybe he didn't get the money, or maybe they decided there wasn't, because I don't know the mechanism
They
on it.
decided not to go forward.
is that what, so it wasn't a function of not getting a grant or something like that? So if we wanted to pursue
That I
this.
don't know. I don't know.
I presume we didn't get the grant.
I guess so.
I'm not sure how
But-
that was funded.
But if they
That was a
decided
debt
they didn't need
exclusion.
it, then they probably didn't go for the grant, or, I don't know. Yeah, if you can, if you can see, if you can
Well,
find
that
out
might
what
have
was
been,
going on
it
with
might
it.
have been funded through a debt exclusion, and he may not have gotten the grant. And when they went to do, because, do you remember if he got a grant for that? I remember
I
getting a
don't
grant.
remember a grant, no.
I remember the only grant I thought he ever got was for
Well,
the canoe ramp.
why don't you,
But I-
if we have a
but-
signed plan, you're gonna have a folder.
Right,
Right.
there is, I
So-
pulled it all out.
But the funding
in case
mechanism
Liz
wouldn't
wants
have
to
had
look at
anything
it.
to
It's
do
all
with
down
site
there.
plan review, but what I'd imagine might have happened, and you'd have to chase the town meeting minutes at that time, is we probably funded, Linda King would know, she's not here, we would have funded a debt exclusion to build that, and they probably chose not to do the full debt exclusion, maybe it was too large.
Yeah, there might be something, she has a file on that, if the planning board signed on a plan, we have a full file, you can come in and read.
2004?
So you'd have to go
2004,
through,
yeah.
you could try the route of a debt exclusion to get the additions on.
Now, let me ask you.
We
this.
give them out like
If
candy.
in fact we wanted to go forward with this, would we have to go through all the plan, sign off and all that all over again, or would that still be valid that we've done?
If it wasn't acted on, it would probably be, if it was approved, say, in 2004, if you didn't act on it, I would assume they've expired. The
Or you
approvals
could
have
go
expired.
by if the approval was by special permit, or is it site plan, it's not special permit?
It was a site plan.
It's a site plan, because if there was a special permit, then you would have acted on it. But you could come back for an abbreviated
Yeah.
site plan or something like that. 'cause you
Should
don't
have it in the
change
same
anything.
plans. And it wouldn't have been a special permit, because that's Borden
No.
Colony, you can't just,
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know.
Boarding colony
We'll
has to have a
look.
certain percentage recreation, a certain percentage.
yeah, and I know
agriculture.
that wording
That's on
over
that
there
board
on
as
Borden
well.
Colony was a little different. And again, that'll all be in the file.
That
Yeah.
fell within that area that could be expanded. I mean, that was all done legitimately, but I'd bet you that was, because I don't remember a grant. I remember working on some of that with Richard.
Yeah.
And,
The only reason I
I
mentioned
think it
Brad
went
is
by way of
that's
a
what it
debt
talks about
exclusion.
in the minutes. It said, because I guess Rich must have come to the meeting, but this is, like I said, this is what, 11 years ago now. Rich came to the meeting and talked to the board about applying for a grant to have this done. Some money must have been approved, because plans like this are thousands of dollars. They're not, you know, it's not a sketch, it's,
But we may have just done it in a town meeting article. We
Yeah,
approved
yeah.
$20,000 to hire an architect to have Rich do
Well,
an
John,
RFP
maybe you can
plans and then
just
come
ruffle
back
through
with
the folder,
subsequent
too.
bids.
Yeah, and I'll
And see if-
follow up, I'll give Rich a call.
see if
'cause
something
he-
comes up.
We did it now, so I can give him a call.
we'd like
Yeah,
to
he'd
pursue
remember.
this, we really would. I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of good activities there, and it's very, they're very well
Oh, and since
attended.
2000, just since 2004, I'm sure the seniors have grown. Obviously,
Well,
you're one of
the
them,
business of
you
seniors is
retired.
kind of- It grows on one end and goes
Well, no,
away.
seniors don't- once you get past a certain age, you don't grow anymore.
Yeah,
You just shrink.
Oh, hell, I can go there now. Bert's been
Gotta be 60, folks.
eligible
Best
for years
breakfast
now.
in town, every other month, the men's breakfast.
Only
$3.
5 more years.
Can't beat it. Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
All righty. Okay, so, that's it. With that said, motion to adjourn. All over. Meeting is.